and welcome to another episode of A Closer Look, the show dedicated to bringing you the facts. We ask the questions no one else will, and we get the answers that no one else can. I'm Aravina Apia. Thanks so much for joining us. I moved to Grand Bahama Island when I was just 11 years old. Coming from Old Bite Cat Island, where I'd spent my formative years, Freeport was the big city, with huge shopping plazas and movie theaters and massive hotels, and this place called the International Bazaar, where you could eat food from all over the world. For me, and for thousands of other Bahamians, Freeport, Grand Bahama was truly the magic city. And then, it was 2004, and Grand Bahama was hit by the original twin disasters of Francis and Jean. And those two told their friend Wilma, who told Irene, who told Matthew, who told Irma, and God only knows what she told Dorian because he showed up and decided to take an extended vacation in the nation's second city. For nearly 2 decades, we have watched the magic slowly fade away from Grand Bahama, and we haven't quite been able to find the formula needed to rekindle that magic. In fact, the conditions have forced many of us who call the island home sweet home to leave in search of greener pastures. As Grand Bahamians, we've gone through the cycle of promises and announcements, only to have our hopes washed away in the aftermath of another hurricane. But here we are again. Just recently, the government of the Bahamas announced 2 major projects. One is the sale of the Grand Lucayne Resort. The once bustling property, which previously welcomed thousands of guests and locals alike, has sat effectively damaged and dormant for years, a sad reminder of both what was and what could be. The second is a multi-million-dollar Carnival cruise port. Combined, these 2 projects represent about $800 million worth of investment for the island. Exciting, right? Yes. But are Grand Bahamians excited? I'd venture out and say that most of us are cautiously optimistic. Why? Because we've been here before, stuck in that cycle of promises and announcements. I think it's safe to say that most Grand Bahamians want desperately to believe that a new day is dawning for the island. No matter your view, one thing is certain: Grand Bahama deserves the chance to thrive again. Later on in the show, we'll be talking to a few of the people who are uniquely positioned to share some insights into the plans in the works to rekindle the fire of Freeport. Minister of Grand Bahama, Moxey, will be joining me at the desk, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. Stay with us. A Closer Look continues after this.
COVID is clearly unpredictable. It doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are. I'm young. And it still put a beating on me. I had no other option but to go to the hospital. I remember the doctor telling me if I had waited 1 more day, I wasn't gonna come inside here alive. At my lowest point, not being there for my kids was... You don't wanna be in the same position that I was in. Vaccines may not stop you from getting COVID, but it can stop you from getting COVID the way I had COVID. You don't want that way.
Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look. I'm Aravina Apia, and tonight I'm sitting down with the Minister for Grand Bahama, Moxey. Thanks so much for being here, Minister.
Thank you,
It's so good to see you.
for having me.
It's so good to see you.
I'm sure you're ready to come back home.
Steal me away. Just don't tell the Nasuvians.
I won't.
Just don't tell the Nasuvians. So let's get right into it.
Yes.
Grand Bahama has been through a lot.
Yes.
We've had back-to-back hurricanes. Now we're dealing with the economic fallout from that, and also a global pandemic.
Yes.
When you talk to people on the ground, what are you getting? How are you feeling about the things that people are saying to you? And what can you speak to in terms of the resilience that you still see in Grand Bahamians?
Yes, Grand Bahamians are so resilient. We all know that. We've been through it all, and you mentioned it. You talked about, Matthew and Jane and Francis and Wilma, and we've experienced it all. But the people are now hopeful. They're hopeful because after Dorian, that we hadn't really come out of, we had the pandemic. And we had a lockdown that lasted about 2 months. And so the people are still hurting. There's still so much that needs to be done to bring relief to the people. But now things are happening, and people are excited about it. And you can hear it, you know, in all the, between the chats. You can hear it on the streets. You can hear it in the messages people send. People are hopeful. People who live in other countries right now are ready to come home. Those who live in Nassau are ready to come home too. And so we're really, really excited about what's happening right now.
So let's talk about the things that are in the pipeline, because there have been some major announcements. The Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister are so excited about the opportunities that are in the pipeline. We've signed some contracts, some ground has been broken. But we kind of been here before. So how are you feeling about this? What are the people saying about this? Where does the government really see this ending up?
So I'm with a lot of the people. Actually, I was the other people, right? And so, yes, we feel like we've been here before, but we haven't. Where we were before was having deals that really didn't make sense. Deals that fell through because what was required of the government was really, in the instance of the Grand Lucayan, kind of purchasing the hotel all over again. And so right now we have a deal with an entity that has a vision for the property, a vision for the island, the area that surrounds it, the property, and really they are socially responsible. So they have the community at heart. And so with that, I believe that's a totally different deal. So we have not been here before, and they are ready to go. With respect to the Carnival Cruise Port, we have also not been right here, where we had the groundbreaking. We're talking about the real deal. It's actually happening. We've done the approvals that are necessary in order for Carnival to move forward. Carnival is committed to having this cruise facility that empowers Bahamians, where we are really the ones that will benefit from all of the concessions that are there. They're looking to partner with the community in engaging them on, you know, the job opportunities that are available, the other entrepreneurial opportunities. We're looking at community-based tourism as well to ensure that everything doesn't simply remain within the walls of the cruise port, but that the others on the island benefit, which means the taxi drivers, taking some of these guests into the communities where they feel this authentic experience that we offer. And so we're looking at how do we work together to enhance the tourism product in general. With respect to the Grand Lucayan property sale, again, we have a developer who's prepared to contribute $5 million really toward community projects, toward entrepreneurs in getting their touristic product together to be able to benefit the entire
So
island
what does
of Grand
that look
Bahama.
like specifically? Because if the cruise port is going to be on the eastern end of the island, right? Smaller communities, lots of really small family communities, family-based communities. What does that look like for them in terms of being able to access this $5 million for entrepreneurial efforts?
You know, the thing is, this will be run through the Ministry for Grand Bahama in conjunction with the Tourism Development Corporation and the Ministry of Tourism. And it will be one where we're really trying to get our people connected with the things that the tourists really want when they come. We want to enhance the experience. We want to ensure that the orange economy and those that fall within that sector benefit. Because I believe that, you know, our people are so talented and that we have so much to offer.
Absolutely.
And we just need to be given that opportunity to be able to develop those ideas that we have. And
Absolutely.
so that is what we're going to pay attention to, and we're going to ensure that areas like, you know, the Grand Bahama Arts and Crafts Center, the touristic experience we want to put by the Fishing Hole Road Bridge, the farmers market, we want to create vendor opportunities, because if we have 1 million cruise passengers coming through that port every year, there are going to be tremendous opportunities, but we have to ready ourselves to be able to take advantage of the opportunities presented.
I like that you spoke about the orange economy, and that's part of the magic that was Freeport. There's so many talented people.
Yes.
You know, we talented folk. That's what we do.
That's what we
so
do.
let's talk about the opportunities in entertainment, perhaps. I know at one point Grand Bahama was known for the bustling film industry. What are the government's plans in terms of bringing that kind of thing back to Grand Bahama?
Okay, so the vision for Grand Bahama Island from our blueprint for change is for Grand Bahama to be maritime and logistics, that's what we are, but also events and entertainment, and to be the home of innovation.
And how do we marry those two things?
How do we marry them? Okay, so with maritime and logistics, of course, that's the cruise port, right? With Miami, who we have a sister city relationship with, by the way, being right there, there's such a tremendous opportunity, even without having the hotel room nights, to utilize these vessels for events. So I don't like to hear the excuse of, oh, Grand Bahama doesn't have the hotel room nights in order to have big events, but we do. We do, because we also have the opportunity with like the Margaritaville that just, you know, rebranded for Grand Bahama Island. That's dedicated for Grand Bahama Island. Those are opportunities for events and entertainment. But what I see the International Bazaar as the Caribbean marketplace, where all countries of the Caribbean are represented, where we have festivals nonstop, where we have a Bahamas section that has Cat Island, and Exoma, and Ragged Island, and Eleuthera, and Long Island represented. So we have the things that are authentic to these islands there. We will be that place, the only place that you can go around the world and get a taste of the Caribbean, a taste of the Bahamas in one place.
Now I imagine that is a little ways off, because the bazaar is in the state that it's in.
It's
so
in
what's the timeline? Like,
okay,
what can you tell us?
So what's happening right now, we are working to reopen the road that exists.
Gotcha.
Because once that road was closed when Royal Oasis took over, you know, it started the downfall, really, after Francis and Jane, I believe. But we're going to reopen that road, because you will recall, we used to have race car driving. This is where Junkanoo took place. So everything
it was a direct traffic to the bazaar.
Absolutely. So one of the, I heard a lady say that, you know, all these stuff happening, but the biggest thing for her is that road opening. That's the biggest thing. So we're gonna do that, but we're gonna create this experience there, because when you speak to the cruise line executives, the thing is always the product, improving the product, because we want the additional cruise calls, but we have to enhance the product. And so we're creating experiences that guests would want to come to, and also we're empowering Bahamians, because their vendor opportunities there. Vendor opportunities in the multi-sports complex that we're going to build. That's also going to be a shelter, because we plan to have events year-round. In our Blueprint for Change, we look to have a 52-week calendar of events. You know, so we're really focusing, really aggressive, not just for Grand Bahama, in the entire Bahamas. So we're really focusing on the orange economy. And if we say Grand Bahama is the events and entertainment capital of the Bahamas, then we should have the majority of those events.
Absolutely.
So that is something that, you know, we are really passionate about. It's going, a lot of them are also going to involve the new property. Well, the redeveloped property at the Grand Lucayan, which is really going to be 3 properties, 3 separate brands. More on that will come. You have the Port Lucaya that's going to be bustling again, with opportunities there. So we're working really hard. I'm sure you can see, working hard, but working smart.
Gotcha.
And we have a Prime Minister who's so committed to the Bahamas at large, but Grand Bahama has been given really the attention that it needs. You know, we've been just going through it for a while.
Yeah.
And so we finally believe that it is a new day, that it is Grand Bahama's time, and that it's time to come home.
She's trying to steal me away.
Yes.
She's trying to steal me away.
I will.
So, okay, so my final question about the bazaar. In terms of once the road is open, has the conversation with the owners of the various stores or the persons who own those stores, you know, back in the day, have those conversations started? What have you been hearing from them as part of the business community? And are they as excited as you guys are to get that reopened?
Well, what I will say is there's a lot going on with respect to the owners. I'm sure you're aware of fires that has happened.
Yeah.
You know, we've been doing some background work. I can't go into too much detail on it. It's still a bit, you know, but we've been in communication with the Port Authority as well on it. We've been in communication with Harcourt Development, who owns the property, the Royal Oasis property that's next to it. And so we've been having some very intense discussions on moving forward there. And we have had the Caribbean Development Bank, who would have visited recently and heard of the plans. And they are totally excited and want to partner with us, really with grant funding, in order to make this happen. So it says a lot about, you know, our focus for Grand Bahama Island, where we intend to take it, and how we're going to do it in a way where we're empowering our people along the way.
Okay. You've talked about the possible entrepreneurial opportunities, the opportunities in the orange economy. What should Bahamians be doing now? Because these projects won't materialize fully for another few years, maybe 5 years or so, right? So what should Grand Bahamians be doing now to prepare themselves?
So what I will say is that we are working on all cylinders right now. We're trying to get things going now as these bigger projects happen. So we have this grant program called Empower Grand Bahama. It's a micro grant program. It's $5,000. But what it is, I believe that sometimes we have to take off just a little bit at a time. You can't sometimes just not go for the whole thing, but one thing at a time. And so what I'm looking to redevelop these touristic sites, where if we give one vendor, for example, who does the gully wash, I think you call it, what do they call it? Sky juice. They call it sky juice here. We call it gully wash. I don't know. It's gully wash.
It's gully wash, and I know it's gully wash.
It's gully wash.
It's gully wash.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, someone who does just that, they get their grant and they do that. The next person might do the kong salad. The next person might do the jankunu dolls. So what we do, we create an environment where we bring the visitors there, but you create an experience that everyone can benefit. Everyone can have their little space, their booth, and make their money, and not, you know, have to have an entire big, you know, funding. I would say is, you know, $250,000 or so. But these $5,000 grants will create these various environments. And we have one at the Arts and Crafts Center where we're going to put booths there. We have one in Hawksville where we're doing a Hawksville Cultural Village. There's about 26 booths there. At Fishing Hole Road, we're putting booths there. And so there are vendor opportunities. At the Farmers Market, we're also enhancing the experience there, embracing the creatives with music and jankunu and the arts and all that. So we're just trying to find ways to empower our people.
Okay, so before we go, tell people how they can get involved in that project.
Okay, so to get involved, it is through the Ministry for Grand Bahama.
Okay.
There's still some work that we're doing with it, because now we have access to some more. So we're being very creative, because I mentioned earlier with the Grand Lucayan sale. That's supposed to be a part of what we're doing with grant funding and all that. And so we're also partnering with the Small Business Development Corporation, partnering with Bahamas Development Bank, and also the Tourism Development Corporation. So there's a lot of exciting things planned, but people need to work on those ideas, you know, formalize some of those plans. you have these concepts and you need help, then reach out to, between the Ministry for Grand Bahama, the Small Business Development Corporation, and we can assist.
So, Minister, before we let you go, can you tell people how can they avail themselves of these upcoming opportunities?
People can avail themselves by preparing themselves, which means get those ideas going. We all have concepts, but you need to put that in a business plan format. Mm-hmm. And if you have any questions, reach out to the Ministry for Grand Bahama. The Tourism Development Corporation is involved. Reach out to the Small Business Development Corp. We're all working together on this. We'll be there for you. But we want to ensure that our people take advantage of these opportunities that are being presented to them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Minister. I really appreciate it.
I can't wait for you to come home.
You know what? I tell you, don't tell the people.
Listen, she's coming home.
Look how they're trying to steal me back home.
She's coming home, yes.
Look how they're trying to steal me back home.
It's Grand Bahama's time.
Well, thank you very much for being here, Minister. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
The show is not over. Stay tuned. We have more of a closer look after this.
Are you a high school or university climate change agent? Do you want to attend COP27 this November in Egypt? Enter the Office of the Prime Minister's National COP27 competition. Entering is easy. Just submit your essay and video on the impact of climate change on the Bahamas. Winners will participate in COP27, the world's largest climate change conference. Be seated amongst the world's leaders in the fight against climate change. For more information, visit youthclimateconference.gov.bs. One ocean, one climate, one future.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching A Closer Look. I'm Arabina Apia, and we're discussing the boom that's coming back to Grand Bahama Island and what that means for the people who've been waiting so long to see it happen. Our OPM correspondent, Jillian Gray, has been following this story, and she takes a closer look. Let's go to her now in studio.
Rabs, when it comes to Grand Bahama, ginger is for the people. And that's not just a campaign tagline. Minister Moxey has made it her mission to turn around Grand Bahama's economy and bring the magic back to the second city. Let's take a look at what's happening in Grand Bahama.
The Ministry for Grand Bahama, I think, became known as a Ministry of Administration. And we will not be that. We are going to be a ministry that gets things done. It's results driven, and the community will be able to see what we're doing.
It's a bold commitment, but Grand Bahama Minister Ginger Moxey says she's been working hard to bring relief and advancement for Grand Bahamians. Among the many projects is the ongoing work in Trip Circle. Those refurbished homes will act as housing for 8 displaced families who are currently living in a dilapidated apartment structure.
We've partnered with the Royal Bahamas Police Force to restore these homes for families that have been displaced since Dorian. And so the Resource Center, many of the organizations that are part of it will utilize it to deliver their programs here to assist those in the community.
13 homes are pegged to be restored in all. Those first 8 families are also being assisted with employment and school placement for their children. Beautiful Grand Bahama is a twofold project, as it not only helps those displaced persons, but also employs nearly 350 people who have been without work for a long time.
It really involves restoring homes. There's the beach access to in Port Mikaya that we have to, plaster the wall. We're going to create murals in that area. We're going to do some landscaping there. So really, we're looking at those in the community who have skills, who we're going to use as a part of this project to, I call it kill 2 birds with one stone. We're employing while we're creating not just opportunities, but enhancing communities.
There's a lot in store for Grand Bahama, from the development of downtown Freeport to the rebuilding of the international airport. Grand Bahamians can expect real change over the next few years. But while those plans are coming down the pipeline, the Ministry for Grand Bahama is making sure businesses and entrepreneurs are helped now. Recently, the government allocated $177,000 to give vendors in the Port Lucaya marketplace. For Wendy Rose, who has been a straw vendor for 17 years, the assistance helped to pay bills. Both she and Daphne Big Mama Nixon says they are extremely grateful.
What I have to put a little stuff in my shop. All the stuff you see, I just got some stuff from the $500. Yes, it's helped me a lot. And I pay a bill and I put something in the store. Yes, I did.
Okay. And you said it helped you to kind of get your supply back up.
Yes, ma'am.
Now that means that your business can run more?
Yes, ma'am. Because I just get some t-shirts and stuff and everything like that. So, yes, ma'am, it will.
Okay,
Yes,
excellent.
ma'am. I'm happy. I'm so pleased for the government for what they have done for us in the marketplace because everybody, we need it. And they came just in time. I thank you. I thank you, and I can't thank you more than enough.
Philippa Barrows started her business in the International Bazaar many years ago. She says she was one of the first of the 300 vendors to receive the $500 assistance and couldn't be happier.
I was the first one got it, and I said, this is going to pay my bills. And I truly thank God for the minister to be a blessing to us. Because they didn't have to do it.
For 12 years, Daphne Nixon has been running her business in the East Straw Market. She says she plans to invest the money back in her company.
I plan to use it. One, I want to bring on a new accounting software that would keep my business afloat, and I'll be able to better control it. Right now, I do have some mechanisms in place. However, it's not sufficient, not for this day and time.
No doubt those vendors and everyone in the tourism industry is excited for the boom that's coming back to Grand Bahama, especially after the landmark signing of the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort and, of course, the groundbreaking for Carnival Cruise Line's cruise port. Trust me, I know that I am excited, and Robs is a Freeport girl. I'm sure you are excited as well for everything that's going to be happening in Grand Bahama.
Well, Jillian, I absolutely am. It's wonderful to be placing the spotlight on our home, sweet home this week. And I'm definitely looking forward to the uptick that's coming to Grand Bahama. Thank you so much, Jillian. When we return, our closing segment.
The Ministry for Grand Bahama launches CoLab, Partnerships for Development. In our blueprint for change, the Davis Cooper administration committed to execution with a roadmap and a framework for delivery, and to create an enabling environment to bring about the transformational change our country needs. In line with this, the Prime Minister mandated the Minister for Grand Bahama to partner with NGOs, businesses, other government agencies, and the community at large to assist with meeting the basic needs of residents and for the growth and development of Grand Bahama Island. As a result of this mandate, the CoLab, Partnerships for Development unit of the Ministry for Grand Bahama was created.
They say you can take the girl out of Grand Bahama, but you can never take the Grand Bahama out of the girl. As someone who was there to witness the glory days of the Magic City, I know firsthand what can happen when the magic is alive and well. But let's be real. Grand Bahama Island is not only home to some of the most spectacular beaches in the world, but it's also a place where people live and work, and they deserve opportunities to thrive. And quite frankly, the people of Grand Bahama have had enough. The time has come for Grand Bahama Island to rise from the ashes and reclaim its rightful place in our country's history. And so, like my fellow Grand Bahamians, I am watching and waiting with cautious optimism and a whole lot of faith that a new day could actually be dawning in the nation's second city. Well, that's all the show we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. I'm Arabina Apia, and I'll be back next week with an all-new episode of A Closer Look, connecting Bahamians to stories that matter. Till next time, everyone, have a great evening.